morning, everybody. Another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. Today I'm out on the range doing a little target shooting. It's pretty cold today. It's about 24 degrees. I'm here by myself, which is the way I like it, because I can kind of do a little bit more stuff going in front of the shooting benches and things like that when there's nobody else here. So what I have set up, that's at about 22 feet, so just over 7 yards from my shooting bench. It's basically a life-size target. I mean, it's a bit overkill for what I'm doing, but I brought a Beretta 92FS, which is new to me. I just picked it up this week. I have a Shield 9mm. I have my Smith & Wesson SD9VE, and I have my Ruger SR22P. And I'm just going to be out here having a little bit of fun, shooting some targets, and trying to get a little bit better at my accuracy. So come along for the ride. Beretta 92FS. I just picked this up this week. I've never shot it before. I'm starting out with some 115 grain jacketed hollow point. This is Remington UMC green and white box. I like this stuff because it's inexpensive and it seems to function in all my guns. So here we go. You're along for the ride. The first shot's out of my Beretta 92FS. And I'm excited. I'm going to start out in double action. So, I will say, first 10 shots out of this gun, this is the most accurate 9mm I own. 5-inch barrel, it's the full-size model, it's not the compact one. My SD9VE Smith & Wesson has a 4 1/4 inch barrel, I think, and that one I can shoot fairly well. But this one, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but I basically got 2 shots outside of the center of the target. Well, so the first 2 rings there, I got 8 out of the 10 shots in, and I got 2 shots outside the center ring. So basically, everything is in the 10 ring on that, and for me, that is an excellent group. First rounds that I shot out of this, so let me load it up again, and I got some 9mm Remington range ammo here. I also have, I believe, some, I don't know if it's Perfecta, I forget what brand it is, PPU. Let me see. Oh, I got PPU, 9mm, and Remington, but I'm going to load up my mag with the Remington. And right now I only have 1 magazine. I was a little disappointed when I got it home because it came with 2 magazines, and when I started looking at the second magazine, it actually wasn't for the Beretta, it was for a Heckler & Koch or Heckler & Koch or whatever you want to call it. So I'm selling that one so I can get another Beretta magazine. And but right now, I mean, the nice thing about this gun, I bought it quote-unquote used. It was a trade-in, and it was on sale for 400 bucks. I traded in one of my Mosin Nagants to help pay for it, just because I'm not sponsored by anybody. I do all this on my own. Everything I shoot is mine for the most part. So I basically traded in one of my Mosin Nagants. I got this thing for 400 bucks with 4 boxes of ammo and the gun, and what was supposed to be 2 holsters ended up being 1 correct holster. But I got it home, and when I opened up the box, the original sales receipt was still in the box. It's only 6 months old. The guy that bought it 6 months ago basically put it in his safe, never fired the thing. There was nothing inside the gun, no marks, no dirt, no nothing. It had never been fired. The feed ramp on the magazine didn't even have any notches in it from ammo. So it's literally a brand new gun. Those were the first 10 shots that you just saw. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot some more. And again, come along for the ride. I can already say this is the nicest handgun I own. Out of everything I have, this is the nicest handgun. And I apologize for the blue gloves. Again, it's 24 degrees out here. Just this little layer of glove between my fingers and the gun keeps my hands warm, and it makes it a lot more fun to shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and decock it, start in double action, and I'm going to go for the head on this target. Basically all over the head. All of my rounds were in about a 5-inch group on the head, and they're a little bit spread out, but again, for the first time shooting this thing, for me, This is better than everything else I have. It's better than my Shield. It's better than my SD9VE. It's not quite as easy to carry. It is a pretty big gun. So I'll put another mag through it here, and then I'll switch over and do something else. I do love getting out to the range. It's been too long since I've been out here. And this is one of my favorite things to do. I find it really relaxing, and I know my viewers, even though I only have like 10 of you, but thank you for that. I enjoy watching other people's videos. I enjoy getting comments, and I know you guys enjoy watching my videos as well. So this time, starting in single action. That was 10 rounds right in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and pause this and I'll zoom in so you can see the target. So there's my target. Sorry it's a little bit shaky, but basically I only had about 4 shots outside of the 10 ring on that large target. And then up in the head area, it's about a 5-inch spread from the top shot to the bottom, about 2 inches wide. But for me, again, somewhat rapid fire. First time I've ever shot this thing. That is really good. All right, moving on today. So I switched from my Beretta. Now I have my 1911 A1. This is an Auto Ordnance brand. This is the A1. It's the lower end model. I bought these additional grips on it because I didn't like the plastic ones. And my main goal when I bought a 1911 is I wanted one that looked like a USGI issued model. So I wanted something that looked originally like it came from the Army. This one actually says US Army on it, even though it's not an Army issue one. And again, I like the fact that being from Massachusetts, this is made in Massachusetts. They're made in Worcester, Mass. And yes, it's pronounced Worcester, even though it's spelled W-O-R-C-E-S-T-E-R. It's not Worcester, it's not Worcester, it's not Worcester, it's Worcester. So this is the 1911 A1 Auto Ordnance. And I only have about 40 rounds through this. So again, getting used to it still. This is one of my favorite guns as well. And here we go. I'm not quite as accurate with this one just because I haven't shot it much, and it does have the original A1 style sight, so the rear notch is basically the width of the front sight, so it makes it a little difficult to see. So my shots are kind of pulling to the left a little bit, but I'm going to try to correct that. And that got much better that time. So I'm going to go ahead and reload and keep shooting. Right now I'm just shooting Herder's 230 grain brass case full metal jacket round nose. I've been told that this particular gun tends to like using the ball ammo rather than a hollow point, and I really don't plan on carrying this gun. I got it more just for the nostalgia of it. If you guys have seen my other videos on pattern collecting, I wanted a 1911. I wanted it to look like an Army issue, which is why I bought this particular one. It was a good price. I think I paid $450 for it, brand new. And the grips were an additional 20 bucks, but I effectively have exactly the gun that I wanted. It's not an old, military issue one. The tolerances are tight on it. For those of you that don't know, Auto Ordnance is actually kind of in a collaboration with Car Arms, K-A-H-R. And Car Arms tunes the pistols for Auto Ordnance. So this is actually a very high quality, very tight tolerance gun. I've had 0 issues with it whatsoever. And I mean, it's a 1911. How many issues can you really have with it? So here we go again, at the head this time. That was much better. I'm not stringing them right so much anymore. I did have one flyer, but I'm getting quite a bit better. Alright, so now we're going to have a little bit of fun. I have an SR22P Ruger, 2 magazines full. My Shield, 9mm with a full magazine. Smith & Wesson SD9VE that has the Apex trigger kit in it with 2 full magazines. My Beretta 92FS with a full magazine. and my 1911A1. And basically what I'm going to do is just go through all of the magazines on this target. I already have a bunch of holes in it, but I'm just going to have a little bit of fun here. And then after I do that, I'll do a little bit of accuracy shooting with each one so we can compare, you know, kind of my abilities and what the guns are. Alright, so here we go. Starting with the Ruger SR22P. And I have some really old videos of myself shooting this thing. I can hit a 10-inch plate at 50 yards with this gun. This thing is so much fun. It's so accurate. And it's just a joy to shoot. It has absolutely zero recoil. So here we go. Oh, and there's the problem with rimfire. This is why typically I don't carry this gun, mainly because every once in a while you're going to have a dud. 22 LR, any rimfire cartridge is never going to be 100% reliable. It either has a problem feeding or it won't fire. So in this case, it didn't fire. So, and there's another one. Oh, that one didn't pick up for some reason. And then the rest were fine. But that's the nature of 22 LR in a semi-auto. You know, in a revolver, it's a little bit better because you just keep pulling the trigger and it'll fire. But in a semi-auto, you will have some issues every once in a while. And in this case, I was using Winchester Super X, just bulk ammo, what you see in like 222 or 333 round boxes. That's what this stuff is, the white box Winchester Super X hollow point. Usually I have really good luck with this stuff. Today I had one dud. Big deal. So let me go on here. I have my shield, which is a little bit snappier than my bigger 9mm, but here we go. Shield. That was the Shield 9mm. Lots of fun. It is a little bit snappier because it's a lighter gun. It has a shorter barrel. I think it's a 3¼ inch or 3½ inch barrel. This is the SD9VE. I highly recommend this for budget gun guys. So if you want a full-size 9mm, you want something to get into shooting. This has a 4½ inch barrel, I believe. You can get 16 round magazines that actually fit the older style. I'm trying to remember what they were called. Anyway, there was an older style gun that started this same platform. I forget what it was called off the top of my head, but I'll add it later. But Smith & Wesson basically had an older gun that was the same platform as this. You can use the older magazines. If you switch the floor plates, they're pretty much the same. So this is an older style 16 round magazine that came from one of the older guns, so they will work. Otherwise, in the state that I live in, this only comes in a 10 round magazine. But I highly recommend this. I bought this one used. I think I paid $225 for it. It had very few rounds through it. It comes with a very heavy double action trigger in Massachusetts. It's I think 10½ or 11 pounds. The Apex trigger kit is about 20 bucks. It took me 20 minutes to put that kit in, and now this has about a 5½ to 6 pound trigger. It still has a really long take up, and it breaks pretty well, but it's a really light trigger. So even that, for self-defense with a 5½ pound trigger with no safety, I still have no problem carrying this gun. It is a bit bulky, but it shoots really well. One mag, and here we go again. Oh, and I had, oh, it didn't lock the slide back on the last one. So one of the magazines I have, and again, this is another problem because you saw when I slammed the mag in, the slide went forward. Because these come from the other model, and I have to look it up, I forget what it is, but Smith & Wesson got in a lawsuit with Glock back in the day, 94, 95, something like that, because one of the model guns that they were selling was basically a copy of a Glock. That's why this kind of looks Glock-like. I like it better than a Glock. I like the slide better. The handle is a lot better. It doesn't have that weird angle. So this thing shoots really well. This is the Beretta 92FS that I showed earlier. And again, this is just a sweet gun. I'm going to decock it, start out in double action, and then go to single action. And I do recommend anything that you're going to carry, you spend a considerable amount of time practicing with it, but I also like trying out different platforms. So if anybody hands me a gun that I want to shoot, that I want to try, because I have various different varieties, I can pretty much pick up most handguns and shoot them without a problem. Now back to my 1911 here. And this one I tend to have a little bit more trouble shooting just because I haven't shot it a lot, but I really do like this gun. I need to practice it more. It's just so much fun. It's a joy to shoot. Then if you go to the old style military training, not the most fun, but that's how they used to train you back in the military. You shoot it with a bent elbow from the hip. You shoot it extended like this. You can kneel down and shoot it. There's various different ways that they used to teach you. I had a stovepipe on that one. That was the first time I've ever had an issue. It was the last round stovepipe when it came out. It was probably because I had this next to my chest and the slide actually hit me in the chest. So chances are it didn't actually go back far enough to eject that shell. But there's just a little bit of shooting on 5 different platforms, and I really enjoy doing this. Alright, so I'm a little bit disappointed because I was trying to get an accuracy video of me shooting all the different guns that I brought with me, and my phone died. So basically what I have here on the top left, this is the SR22P, and not thinking, I brought a bunch of standard velocity ammo, and it'll usually shoot it, but it doesn't always cycle the action. So the Aguila standard velocity, which I think is like 1,000 feet per second, wasn't cycling correctly, so I was having a few flinches when I was shooting. So you can see primarily most of my shots are high, and this is, I think, because the last time I sighted this gun in, I sighted it in at about 25 yards, and now I'm at about 7 yards, so it's shooting a little bit high. Not a huge group. I mean, that's probably about 4 inches horizontally and probably about 4.5 inches vertically, and that's a couple of magazines. In the middle here, this is my shield, and this is the shield. This is the SD9VE. They're about the same group sizing, but there's a lot fewer rounds on this target. I missed a couple down low and I hit a couple over here. Mainly, this is the difference between a 10.5 pound trigger and a 5.5 pound trigger. So it's the Smith & Wesson, the SD9VE, and the Shield have exactly the same type of toggle system trigger with that little pivot point in the middle. The difference is this one has a much stiffer spring, this one has a much lighter spring. This gun is much easier to shoot also because it has a 4.25 inch barrel. This one I think is a 3.25 inch barrel. So a little bit of difference on these two, and you can tell again, I mean, general area, I'm not a marksman, so again, this is about 4.5 inches horizontally and probably about 4.5 inches vertically. Pretty much all my shots are in a square with that gun. I didn't miss the target at all when I was shooting with that one. The Shield, I did miss a couple. I hit a couple low down here in the left and a couple high here in the left. But again, I mean, if I had a magazine to shoot or 2 magazines to shoot, most of them would be on the target. This is probably, diagonally, that's about a 5 inch spread. Vertically, it's about a 4.5 inch, and horizontally, it's probably about a 4 inch spread if you take out the few that I missed. But again, not horrible. This target down here was the Beretta 92FS. And I'm kind of all over the place because going from the SD9VE trigger to the Beretta trigger, the Beretta actually has a better trigger because it's a shorter length of pull and it's a lot smoother. Plus, I think it breaks at about 4 pounds when it's in single action mode. So once I got used to shooting, I had a couple low, I had a couple off to the left, and then I had a whole ton in the center of the target. So again, for me, these targets are 7 inches by 11 inches. I'm shooting them at 8 yards, about 24 feet. So for me, that's pretty stinking good. And then this is the 1911. All the shots are pretty much low on the 1911. And the reality of that is it has the USGI sights. Again, it's a 1911 A1. So in World War I, when they made those pistols, they weren't really made for marksmen. So the sights are really low to the slide, and I just have trouble getting up high enough. But again, so if I'm shooting, if I ever had to use it in a defensive situation and I was shooting at a person, I would aim for right below their neck as opposed to middle of the chest, and I would still be hitting them all center of mass. Again, I didn't really have any off the paper. I think I had 2 down here that were low, and 1 right here that was off the paper. But the rest of them, again, it's probably about a 4 1/4 by 4.5 inch spread. Not bad, but that's about the accuracy that I can get out of my guns. And again, like Paul Harrell says all the time, it doesn't really give you an indication of the accuracy of the gun. It's just how accurate I can shoot those specific guns. So again, SR22P, Shield 9mm, SD9VE, Beretta 92FS, and my 1911 A1, which is an auto ordnance. Thanks for watching the video. Rate, like, and subscribe, comment. I always answer the comments. It may take me a few days to get back to them, but I do appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again. God bless America, and keep shooting.